So good to see you, Michelle. Okay. And Martha is on her way to sunnier places. It's really wonderful to see you all. You don't know each other, but I know all of you, so really good. Anyway, what we wanted to do today was to look at, so good to see you, Michelle. Okay. Now, the YouTube's, okay. There we go. The live streaming was interfering there with the sound, but we've got it all. I was looking for good internet. So today, now here we go. Today, we're looking at the defined and undefined chakras. And for that, I wanted to share the screen. Share screen. Here we go. I think this is it. There. What is it you're seeing? Let's hold on. It's going to change that. Okay, so here we go. Defined and undefined centers. And what you're here seeing is Diane's, let's take somebody who's on the call. Martha's chart. And you see the ones that are colored in, these centers, and you see the ones that are not colored in. So the ones that are colored in are called defined centers. And the ones that are not colored in are called open centers. And the difference is that, you know, I look at it as like an energy circuit where when it's defined, when it's colored in, there's a constant energy. There's always energy there. It just is like continuously on. Whereas the white ones, they are off or open so that they can take in the energy of what's around them, what's coming through from other places, from other auras, from other people. So for Martha, she would be taking in energy in her head, in her aina, and in her heart. And these places, the colored in ones, is where Martha, you have just a constant energy. And it's the same for the channels. So here we have channels connecting the 9 centers. And if it's colored in, like this one here, it means there's a constant energy flowing between these centers. And sometimes we only have one side of a channel that's called a gate, or even a hanging gate, because the other part is not constant. And what happens is that when we have a full gate, full channel there's that energy rush that is always through. It's just quick, it's fast, it's like a power, it's a strength. And when we have a hanging gate, it's always looking for the other side. And if we meet somebody who's got the other side, it's like a buzz. Oh yes, wonderful. It's that feeling of chemistry. It's, some people think this is, oh, I'm meeting my soulmate kind of thing. But what it is just mechanics. It's just electricity. It's just like magnets finding each other. Now, if you're finding somebody, right? So this is finding somebody who's got fulfills the channel for you. Now, if you've got somebody who has the same hanging gate, that's a strengthening. It feels comfortable. And if you have somebody who's got the same full channel like you, whoa, that's energy that can flow together. This is excitement. This is double power. The thing we need to look out for is when one person has this hanging gate and the other person comes with the full channel. And what happens then is the hanging gate is kind of slow, and somebody comes with the full channel and is right there, and you feel completely flattened. And you may have come across this feeling of where somebody comes in and you just feel totally flattened, and it doesn't really necessarily feel good. But what we need to understand here is that it's just mechanics. The other person isn't intending to roll right over you. It's just that they have that full channel. And I'll give you an example on mine, out of my own experience, is here, my throat, it's got one little open hanging gate. So this is my possibility of speaking. Now, if somebody comes along and has the full channel, they zoom right in and they say it before I've even taken the breath and getting ready to formulate my ideas. So pang, I'm flattened. And as a child, of course, I felt like my power is being taken away. Like people don't want to listen to me. Like I'm not given the chance. All of those things of not feeling good about it, and everybody else is bad. Now I understand it completely, and I've been there's other ways of how I voice that which is deep within me. So this can happen anywhere. Let's just look at the other charts. Yana. So Yana, for example, is this Yana? Yes, it's Yana, has this hanging gate and this hanging gate, and I have the full channel. So what happens is that if I'm not careful, I roll right over Yana. Now, the important thing for me here is when I'm the one with the power channels is to really make sure that I take into account what other people have to offer. So to slow down and make sure, what do you have to say here? What do you have to say there? But then I'm really the one with the power to go through with whatever needs to go through with. So I'm the one who has the full channel to execute what that is in these respects. Now, Lorenz is a reflector. Oh, just what makes something colored in? A center is colored in when there's a full channel between the two. So colored in here makes this full channel makes this center and this center colored in. And the emotional center here, the solar plexus, and the sacral are colored in because there is this colored in channel between the two. So Lorenz has no channel at all. no full channel. He has, and instead he has lots of hanging gates. So that is why everything in his chart is open, and that's what makes him a reflector. And that also means that there are so many chances for Lorenz to be bulldozed, flattened by other people. Okay. I think that's what I need to say to that. The defined and undefined chakras. The defined just means there's that constant energy. The undefined means I'm taking in from everywhere around me. So we'll take the extreme, Lorenz. He's constantly taking in all the different chakras, he's constantly taking in what other people around him are experiencing. We lost, Martha, but she's at the airport, so she'll probably be going through check-in or something like that. Yes, and it's very easy for somebody with a defined chakra. So here we have Michelle with lots of defined centers. So you have that constant energy that has an effect on everybody around you. And it's neither good nor bad. It's just that these defined chakras give you a natural sense of who you are. And the undefined chakras give you an option of looking at all sorts of possibilities in these areas. Okay. Lorenz, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's perfect.
Okay. Then channels, gates, red and black. The difference between what's red and what's black. Black is where all the signs were right at your birth. And that describes your personality, sort of what's conscious, what you are aware of. And what is really easy for other people to be aware of. And your design happens, 80 days before you were born. That's where sun, earth, moon, and all the star signs are at that time. And that describes your design. It describes your subconscious way of living. So everywhere where there's a red channel or a red gate, you're not really aware of what's going on there. You can sense it when it's described to you. And then you go, oh, yes, that's there too. But it's not at the personality level where you are very clear and very conscious about what's happening. Now, what we wanted to talk about is the authorities today. So the authorities, there's the most important thing in human design is knowing what your strategy is, and then knowing what your inner authority is. And last time we went through the strategies. So for Michelle, the strategy is to wait so that you can respond to life. And really, when we don't pretend we're a manifestor that just goes out and does things, but when we are really waiting so that we can respond and say yes or no, that's when, actually it's a very cool life. We just have to make sure we relax into that. Now, it's different a little bit for Michelle because you're a manifesting generator. But let's look at the not self theme, the inner authority, the emotional solar plexus, that's here. So that if that is colored in, if this emotional solar plexus is colored in, that is your inner authority. And it means that we have an emotional wave, and the wave just continues. It's just a wave. You go up and down in your emotions, and you go up and down in your emotions about whatever it is that you want to respond to. So something has come at you, an email, a suggestion, an invitation, a possibility, and you're going through these emotions of, oh, I could be angry about it. I could be sad about it. And you're going through all the possibilities, possibly in your mind, and you're looking at how you feel about it. Let's look at, yeah. So we are so used to having emotions, so used to, ups and downs, and it's, if we can relax into that, if we can be comfortable with that and know that it's going to change. There's no truth in the now. It's just constantly changing what my truth is. And we just wait until these waves pass through us, and we can relax somewhere in the sunshine and wait until the wave is through, until we feel, yes, I've got clarity. Yes, this is the outcome. It's not this, it's not that, not this, not that. And now I know this is what I want to do. This is how I want to respond to that which came at me. And there's different kinds of waves. And I'm just going to change what I'm sharing. Here. We have an emotional wave. Yeah, let's start with this one. An emotional wave that builds up. It sort of ratchets along until it reaches a high point and then crashes. Crashes or knows what it wants. And the thing with this one is, if we talk about what's going on with this wave, with the people who have this wave, it doesn't have to build up so high and crash so low. The people who have this wave are these people. It means that your emotional center is defined through either this channel, or this channel. This channel is called a tribal wave. It's connected. We'll deal with that more in detail at some other point. The tribal wave, it's about the tribe. It's about the family. It's about how to keep the tribe alive. So in the tribe, you don't say it, you don't say it, you don't say it because you don't want to upset anybody. And then it spikes. It's that straw that breaks the camel's back, and then it crashes. And then another thing that we are looking at, and maybe the people with that tribal wave can say whether that feels right to them or not. What we're looking at is whether the people with this channel or this channel, that touch is really important. And touch, it's actually being physically touched, that can change your wave. You get a hug or somebody touches you on the shoulder, and it changes the way you feel. It can also be being touched emotionally, being touched spiritually. You're going through a really deep spiritual experience, and it changes how you feel. It could be maybe lighting a candle could change the way you feel. And my experience in that is that when I did a certificate in firewalking, And the training was basically for CEOs. And as CEO, it was, if you want to change somebody's mood, the way somebody is feeling, maybe you're the boss and somebody is coming towards you and is upset about something, you can touch them on the shoulder. You just touch their shoulder and their mood can change. So if you have one of these channels, look at that and let us know whether that's actually the way it goes for you, or experience with it. Maybe if you know somebody who has one of these channels, does that work? Does that actually work? You touch them deeply, you touch them physically. And is that a way to get them through this type of wave and make it sort of more even, not wait until that straw has been reached? And then we have this yellow type wave, which is very even, pretty calm, and then it spikes one way or the other way. But basically everything is pretty even. And that is on the individual stream. Here. So if your emotional center is defined through either this channel to the throat or the middle channel to the root, then your emotional wave is pretty even, pretty constant, and then all of a sudden something happens and it spikes. And then we have the collective wave. If your emotional center is defined through the outside, from the root to the emotions, or from the emotions to the throat, it's the collective wave. And this concerns itself, the collective, with the collective, with the community, with the whole of human beingness, or even further out. So this collective wave, the way it works is, and I have that, it builds up. It builds up very, very calmly. Builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up. And then the energy is released. And this release can be, now I know what my decision is. Or it can be, it's like a pressure cooker. All of a sudden everything comes out. And there's no judgment there. It can be explosive. It can be calm. But there's the release from the tension. So there's the tension that builds up, and then the tension is released. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that? Maybe wave your hand, or any mentions, or anything that you can share about your experience.
Yes, Jana, I see you have a question.
Okay, can I ask? I have two questions. The first one I had at the very beginning. Have you ever seen anyone with all defined chakras?
Yes, and you know her, Elizabeth.
Oh wow!
And you can, knowing Elizabeth, you can feel that. Yes, there's no easy way of influencing her. There's, usually we can find a place where there's a chakra, a center that is open, and that's the way we usually have access to that person. But Nicole, you know her too. Elizabeth is quite a force, and a beautiful force, because she operates very correctly. So one of the things in human design is, as soon as somebody is operating correctly according to their chart, it's beautiful. And it doesn't matter what the chart is, it's beautiful. The problems come in when somebody is not operating correctly to their chart. So yes, she's a power horse, and so she's not there to take in where other people are. She is fully there to share who she is. Yeah.
And I have a second question. So you said with the first wave, you need the touch to make them more calm. What about the yellow and the green ones with the individual? So how to make them more calm and not to have all these waves?
So I don't have any official information on that, and everything's an experiment. So if you find solutions to that, mention them. We're all in this experiment. I would generally say that it could be the same for everybody. Now, the one thing is, let me just retract on that. These people here who are defined through the channel from the sacral to the emotional solar plexus, they are the people who, once it's building up, they don't want to be touched. If you touch them, they explode even more. And then there's also the experience that it needs to be, we had that on the German channel, somebody mentioned that it has to be, yes, touch works, but it has to be authentic. So if your partner comes and says, yeah, it's okay, and they pat you on the shoulder, that's not going to work. But if it's an authentic hug with, I love you so much, then it can be truly calming. And I don't know, I would say that's also true for the others in a way.
And can we say that only this type with the defined emotional solar plexus burst out? Or like people?
Not necessarily. People who burst out can be bursting out because somebody else is defining them. So
like that, I was living in a community for a long time, and there would be rooms full of people where we were trying to find a solution for a topic. And then sometimes a topic would trigger people, but they wouldn't speak. And the ones who were bursting, the ones who were exploding, were always the ones with the emotional undefined. Those are the first to crack. Because as Una said, the defined and the undefined, I imagine them as two antennas. And the defined is sending out, and the undefined is receiving and amplifying. So if you have a room full of people, and in this room, it doesn't, even two are enough if the emotions are strong enough, right? But just to make the picture, if you have a room full of people, the emotions will come out of those who have an undefined emotional solar plexus, because they're taking in all these energies. And with a room full of emotions, that can be a lot. So, but we will talk about that in the next 2 Zooms. More about not self and self and how that works. It has a lot to do with defined and undefined and how they work together.
Thank you.
So you see, this part and this part is the part where the people don't speak. But the others are feeling it. The ones with the open emotional center, they feel these emotions building here and here. And so they're the ones that burst. And I'm just seeing Martha's question. What are the numbers for? So if we look here, I'm assuming you're looking at all these numbers. These are the numbers of the particular gate. So this would be gate 11, and opposite would be gate 56, and that's the same for everybody. And there's 64 numbers, and where they come from is the I Ching from China, this very, very ancient system. So what you can actually do if you're interested in going deeper is you can get yourself a book on the I Ching and really study the I Ching of, let's see, number 1, which is the male energy, the I Ching of the number 2, which is the female energy, the energy of number 3 down here somewhere, which is then what is produced by 1 and 2. So there's a lot of depth, and yeah, the each gate. So if we take gate 11, has 6 lines, and they come from that icon of the I Ching. We won't go there right now, but you can see how deep it becomes. And if we do go deep like that there, it will be really important to have the exact birth time, because the lines underneath the gates can change depending on whether it's a few minutes, 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after, and one can look at how likely it is that yours changes.
Yeah, maybe if we're going into the structure so much, do you think it's a good time to take 5 minutes to really see where the gates are coming from, like where the numbers are really coming from?
I'd like to do that next time. I was just mentioning it because if you can get as accurate a chart as possible, and maybe even if you don't know your time exactly, maybe play with a few minutes before, a few minutes after, putting that into the chart calculation and seeing how that changes, or talking to your mother or finding your birth certificate if it's on there or whatever. Just get it as accurate as you can for next time. That's where I was going with that. Is that okay for you, Lorenz?
Sure.
Okay. So we were talking about the authorities. So this is the emotional authority, and that overrides all authority. So if this is colored in, that is your absolute authority for big decisions. Now, because you don't have an answer in the now, because you have to ride out that wave, it's really great if you have underlying that another possibility. So very often there'll be underlying that for generators, the sacral defined. Oh, I just also to mention these waves, usually we say sleep on it for 2 days, but it's absolutely not, we'll sleep on it for 2 nights, but it's absolutely not defined by 2 nights. It's just a sort of a rule of thumb. It's something to say to other people is, oh, I'll consider that. I'll just sleep on it. I think it's a really good idea, but I'll sleep on it. So get used to saying that to other people. You say, most likely I'll say yes, but I just want to make sure and I want to sleep on that. Or I want to take my time with the right decision. And then just observe your emotions and observe how long it will take until you are absolutely sure that this is what you want to do or what you don't want to do, what you want to say yes to or what you don't want to say yes to. Do you want to actually put that energy in there? Do you actually want to finish that project? Do you have the full energy to finish that project, or do you not have the full energy, but you're just sort of thinking, oh yeah, maybe. So wait with your decisions, and it can be months. Sometimes it just takes that long until you're still going through ups and downs and your emotion, should I not? It's not the head gets in the way, but really look at, do I still have emotions about it? Or am I at the stage where my body just feels like, yes, I want to do that? You have something on that, Lorenz, before we go to the sacral?
I think you covered it all. Just to maybe reiterate the most important points for me is that it's it's the most important, like, it's very interesting, the mechanics, but it's the most important tool for everybody to be sure that they are living the unique life that they came here for, is to listen to their inner authority. And it's very important to see that there is no truth in the now, because emotions change, and something that feels good because you are just at one point in the wave, you are at the high, might feel different tomorrow when you're at the low. So there is really no, because there is only the up and down of the wave. And the only thing you can be certain of, if you have that center defined, is that where you are right now will not be where you are tomorrow, most likely. That's why waiting is so important until you have tasted or seen your decision from all these emotional angles of your high and low of the wave. And then comes this feeling of clarity that Una described. And only then is it wise to act on a decision to make sure it's you who decides and not any outside force.
Great. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was important. So that if you have sacral authority, and it'll say at the top of your chart, if you have sacral authority, it means you don't have the emotional authority. This one's undefined. The emotional center is undefined. And the sacral center, the red square, is defined. It's colored in. The way the sacral works is, you know, right now, you know, but you only know by responding. You're a generator because you've got this colored in. You've got the sacral colored in. You are a generator. And that means you have to respond. And because you have to respond, you have your truth by responding to something. Your truth of whether something is a yes or no has to come because, for example, an email comes in and you're physically responding to that. Or actually the best way is when somebody asks you a yes, no question, not a multiple choice question, a yes, no question. Do you want to do this? And you'll feel your body move. You'll feel your body go a little back, or it'll go forward, or you feel uncomfortable in your stomach, or you're starting to nod, or you're starting to get really excited and your arms go out in joy. Or your brow starts to wrinkle, or you go, yeah, or you go, There's all sorts of ways your body can respond to that. And Lorenz has, do we still have Lorenz here? Did we lose him?
Yes, no, I'm here.
Okay. Yes, do you want to share your chocolate experience?
Yeah, sure. As Una said at the beginning, there is a possibility for all of us to try to be something we are not, and for generators, it's to be manifestors and not to respond. And it's quite funny how that turns out sometimes. I was shopping, my ex-partner, she is a generator. So when we went shopping and she would walk by the chocolate aisle, she would go, oh, I want that. And I would ask her, do you want that? And she would go, Of course, other times she would go, and then it was correct. But that's kind of so one thing is walking by something is already enough of an energy that comes at you that you can respond to. And sometimes if you try, another example is like you're at home comfortably with somebody and they're a generator and they go, oh, tonight I want to eat pizza. And it's really helpful to them if you ask them, do you want to eat pizza? Because they don't know. If they come up with the idea, most likely they don't know. So if you ask them, they get the chance to respond with their authority, and they might go, and then you know it's true that they want the pizza, or they might go, and then you also know that they had the idea, but it wasn't a correct one.
Yes, and this you're sitting there and you have the idea, oh, I want pizza, is what a manifestor can do. The manifestor can, from within, he's the only person who can, from within, decide this is what I want. And it's correct. And it feels different because it's authentic. So manifestor, I want pizza, and he goes out and gets pizza. That's just the way manifestors work. And generators, this idea of I have to do something, I have to manifest something, is not appropriate for a generator. For the generator, we have this constant buzz, we have this constant cat purring within us, but there's nothing we need to do until we get a yes in response to something else. I just want to share another example. We were standing around with a few friends and in the process of saying goodbye, and there was this little boy there, and he wanted to be lifted up and thrown into the air by his father. And the father already has his hands full and just wasn't quite ready to do that. And I said to the little boy, do you want to be thrown up into the air by Lorenz? And he's kind of shy about it. And what Lorenz did was, assuming he's a generator, because 50% of people are generators anyway. So he tried his luck with the boy being a generator. And he said to the boy, would you like me to throw you up into the air? And the boy he was smiling all over his face, and his hands were full of joy and full of happiness. And he was ready. He said yes with his whole being.
And that's really something that if you experiment with it, I'm sure you get to observe that a lot, because by now, if somebody, let's say I'm in the kitchen and somebody comes and offers to help, in general, if somebody offers help, it's a good idea. I always ask back, do you want to help? Because only then I can be sure that I get an authentic help, that I get authentic energy in doing what I do. I'd rather do something alone, for me that's anyway not a big problem, than get an energy that comes with a should, or out of an outer authority or of a morality. So if somebody comes into the kitchen and there is this question, me and Nicole had this situation quite a few times with the last workshop, and she would come in, I was preparing something, and she would come in and say, can I help? And I would ask her, do you want to help me? And from her response, I know if there is authentic energy to help me do something in the kitchen. That is really a very, very good way and a very respectful way to be around and deal with generators.
Yes, and I just see Jana's question. The important thing is to ask a yes/no question. So if you ask, do you want to help or do you not want to help? There's no answer for the generator. That's a multiple choice question. It has to actually be very straightforward, simple, yes/no question. Do you want to be thrown into the air? Not, do you want me to or do you not want me to? Lorenz, do you want to talk about your experience? You know which one.
Yeah, sure. Where do you want to go eat? Like the classic question for many disputes is a horrible question. And it gets especially funny if there's like 3 generators in the room, they're trying to figure out what to do. And they ask each other, where do you want to eat? And there's no response for the generator. They don't know what to do. Then they try to manifest something. Let's go eat there. But all the other generators, they feel intuitively, yeah, but that wasn't authentic. So they go, yeah, maybe, or maybe we should go there. And it's again, it doesn't work. I was in a family like that, and I sat around and observed it, and they would really get on each other's nerves because they couldn't, like the energy doesn't move. It can't move because nothing is correct. And it is really, really helpful not to ask, where do you want to eat? What would you like to eat? What do you want to have for dinner? What do you want to do? But feel into and ask specific questions. Do you want to eat Chinese today? And if there is a aha, then you maybe can ask them which place they want to go. That is how the generator energy works.
Yeah, and there's an aspect to it, to writing, asking the correct yes/no question. So there might be, maybe you have a better example, Lorenz. There might be this thing of, do you want to live in this house? And there's no answer coming from within the generator. So maybe the question is not, do you want to live in this house? But do you want to live in this area? Or can you afford this? Or can you just change the question a little bit around until it's something that the generator can really react to.
And sometimes it's also just not an important question. It might seem important to you, but it isn't actually the relevant question to be asked. So there's a lot of experience and experimenting one can do with asking. And it's so beautiful because it's in the end, and we will tie it together over the many Zooms that we will be hopefully doing, because it's mechanics. It's very beautiful mechanics. These questions is what the projector is so good at asking if they are correct, because they can see through the generator and they can see which question is the right one to be asked. And in this way, guiding and directing the generator's energy, but always with the respect that the right thing is only when the generator had a yes from their inner authority. So there is no manipulation. But that's really what the projector's part would be in the perfect human design world.
Yeah, so you may remember the projector has a pointed aura, and his attention is fixed on that one point. So if there's a projector, fixing me in that one point, he sees right through me. He knows exactly which questions to ask. So that, and he does that once he's been invited, because that's his strategy. So I invite the projector and say, look, I need help with this. Could you ask me a few questions, and can you get me on track? So the projector will ask those questions, and that's how I get clarity. If the projector knows how to ask the questions correctly, he'll know from the questions, he'll know which way to guide me. Yeah, Lorenz?
I think that's very good. I just look at the time and how many authorities we still have, and I think we have a lot in this group of the different authorities that are possible.
Yes, let me just stop that share and share our charts. We'll go on to the next authority. So those of you who have the emotional authority and also have the sacral, you might also be able to answer questions in the now with the sacral. Where is it?
I just see Jana had a question. I'll try to find an answer to it. while you are screen sharing? With the generators, it's about the energy that comes their way that they respond to. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person asking them a question, although that is a very, very good option, especially if you're very aware of having to make a decision and you would like to be asked. It's a good idea to ask somebody to ask you, but any energy you can respond to. So there is definitely no, it's not that if nobody asks the generator anything, they are lost in the woods and just standing there frozen. That's not how it works.
Okay, I found it. So who do we have here? Martha. So Martha is emotionally defined. So her authority is inner authority is the solar plexus. Inner authority, we're talking about inner authority here in the sense that we have been trained to listen to outer authority. Have been trained to listen to our parents, our teachers, the matrix, the government, the doctors, the teachers. And so we need to relearn, and this is very important for the changes in our world, we need to relearn our inner authority and what is correct for us. So Martha has emotional authority. That's her one big guiding thing. But she also has the sacral defined. So she has a sense of how that works too. It's not her main decision-making tool, but she has a sense of it. Now, the next thing will be people with the spleen, the splenic inner authority. They do not have the emotional defined, and they do not have the sacral defined. So these here are open. Just looking through.
Doesn't look like it.
No. Yeah, I'll just cover it very quickly. So the way it works is you're doing something without realizing why. There's no way you can reason it. It's such a very slight intuitive thing, and it's physical. It's like your body is turning to the right, and you're walking down the street on your right instead of straight, and you come to this beautiful store with this beautiful crystal that you want to buy. There's something why your body is doing that. Or there's an example from Ra. Back in his days, you didn't put on your seatbelt, and he's driving and he didn't have his seatbelt on, and never. And this one time, he got into the car and he watches himself put on his seatbelt. And a few minutes later, there's a car banging into him, and there's a crash. So he didn't know why he's putting on his seatbelt, but he's just doing it. And there's another person, a friend we know, who was going on this car ride trip with a whole family, and they're stopping somewhere on the way to get some coffee, and he just wants to look at the left front wheel. It's like a cloud gently flowing by, and it's just what he wants to do, what his body feels like doing. And it would have been a disaster if he hadn't done that. And so for them, it's really important to always be tuned into these very faint voices, because the voice will not come again. It's not a voice, it's an energy. That energy won't come again. If you've missed it, if you didn't listen to it, you'll go straight ahead on the track that you thought you were taking, and you'll never turn to the right and and see that beautiful crystal in the shop that you've always wanted to buy, or meet that person that you were supposed to meet that's going to change your world. So that's the spleen authority. And then
just
yeah,
a quick add to that. Nicole said that her spleen is active. Yes, like Martha's. So you have a sense of this energy that Una just described, but as your sacral is also defined, if you look at your inner authority, there is it is called sacral instead of splenic, and that is because the sacral is stronger, you could say. And what helps me to put that into perspective is that the centers, they have chronological development as well. So the spleen is the earliest, it's the first, and to me it has a sense of fight or flight, this instinctive knowing that is very easy for the mind to overthrow or to be louder, because it doesn't come again. You cannot ask or do anything to make the feeling come again to test. So if you're tuned in, of course, that helps a lot. But sometimes the decisions are something that are hard to do. Like you're going out with friends and your body is stopping before entering the restaurant. And you need to listen to that. But you have no way of explaining that to your friends. Like, I don't want to go in here. And they will ask why. And you have no answer. But if you go in and you eat, you might get sick or whatever happens that is not correct. So that's how this works. And it's a bit a tricky one.
yes, I was just pulling up Nicole's chart. It didn't come up before. So yes, these are really important for you, Nicole, because everything else is open. So it's really important to work with this. We also had somebody with a mental self-projected authority. Where was that? Do you want to start talking about the mental self-projected authority while I'm looking for it, Lorenz?
Yes, I also see Anna had another question, which I find interesting. She asked about what's the different, like in the example that I brought up with me walking in the supermarket and my ex-partner responding to the chocolate. Now, I can feel the difference in energy. So it might be her brain seeing the chocolate and wanting it, or it might be an actual response to the energy of seeing the chocolate. And when I'm not sure, I ask to reconfirm. So that's the difference. If she responds to the energy of seeing the chocolate in a correct way, she will again have the same answer if I ask her about the chocolate. But that's not always the case. You can easily see any advertisement for something and be pulled into that, not by your inner authority. About the mental projectors, I think we have one. I think Diane, right?
That's right. And I'm just bringing it up.
So the mental projectors, they are very, very, very rare. They are less than 2% of the population. And a mental projector is a mental projector if nothing under the throat is defined. The throat is the brown cube, and everything under it is empty. And to put that into perspective, about half the population have their solar plexus defined. So we live in a society with a lot of defined emotions, and about 70% of the population have their sacral defined, which makes them generators. So for the mental projector, one thing to see is that most probably you have never met anyone with the same way to make correct decisions as yourself than you, like you. So everything that you've seen on the outside, and most probably any course and everything you've ever read about how to make decisions, is not correct for you. And how you can experiment with your own inner authority, the suggestion from human design is that you need to speak and you need to hear yourself speak. And in tuning in to your authentic voice, and listening and realizing when your voice flows freely, when it gets into a stuttering, when it becomes kind of cramped or tense, you can already tell a lot about the decision or the direction of the decision you want to make. And what is very important for them is to have a sounding board, an opposite that they can talk to, that has really no agenda. None at all, because as everything else is open, it's easy to be influenced, and it's easy for them to be influenced by somebody else's emotions or their sacral. So preferably they talk to different people and they hear themselves speak their own truth. For the mental projector, which has nothing defined under the throat, it is a lot about speaking out their ideas and their concepts and what they think in a very free way, and listening to themselves. And in listening to themselves, they will get clues to what is the correct decision for them. You're muted, Una. We can't hear you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. What we find a lot is that depending on which program you're using, it will say inner authority none. That is incorrect. There is an inner authority, and because it's only about 1% of the population, it's something that still needs to be experimented with. And but like Lorenz said, it's speaking to several people. It's not just one person, but it's speaking to several people. And the important thing is to find people who don't then push their ideas on you. It's that they're just there to listen. They're not really there to react. Now that's difficult because the generator just automatically responds to whatever comes to him. It's almost automatic. So the mental projector ideally finds somebody who doesn't respond, like another other projector, or somebody with the sacral undefined, so that they can just listen, and they need more than one person to whom they speak. And it's about also taking time. It's like you're sampling yourself while you're talking to another person. You're talking, there's another person there, a sounding board, and you're tasting what it is like, that which you're saying. And so it's a lot about having the right people in your life. It's the environment, the physical environment is highly essential. It's really also the way you take decisions is you have to go there. You have to go there to feel it, in a sense, to experience it. If you're looking at jobs, don't just look at the jobs that are there in the newspaper or on the internet. You have to go there. You to rent a place, you have to go there to feel it. That is just absolutely essential for you. I think, anything else, Lorenz?
Yeah, what I find very interesting just in seeing is so one is the chronological development of the different centers, which is really from the earliest as the spleen, to then the awareness in the sacral, to then the awareness in the emotional, and what comes with that is also how much time is needed to get clarity for oneself. So the spleen is instant. It is so quick that it's easy to not notice. And the sacral is still in the moment. It's very good for experimenting, because somebody can ask you all sorts of questions, also the hard ones. Do you like your job? Do you like your partner? Do you want to live where you live? And so on. You can really get, once you're tuned into this energy and how it feels, you can get a good kind of mirror to where you are in your life and how much of it is correct. And then the solar plexus already takes more time. They say if you start out experimenting, take 2 days to sleep over it, but it can be longer. And then you have the mental projectors, which most probably will need more than 2 days. And then you have the reflectors, which need a full moon. So it's this kind of progression in a sense.
Great. Just seeing Jana's questions. Which ones have we answered?
I think we're pretty good until the last one.
How can projector feel the place to rent if his emotions are undefined? You don't necessarily need to feel through emotions. These emotions, it's not that kind of, feel is a sort of a broad spectrum word. So it's not emotionally that you feel. And at the same time, of course, being open in the emotions, you can feel what the place feels like. Because of all that openness, you're certainly taking it all in. And is this something that you can live with?
And there is a feeling of clarity that I think is that is where the decision-making process comes together in a similarity for a lot of these different authorities. So I get, as a reflector, I get a clarity. It takes a long time, but once I know, I have clarity. And it's also through the emotions, once the wave is over, there is a clarity. As for the mental projector as well, there is a clarity, and it is simply or not so simply sometimes, but going through the process until there is clarity. I'm not sure if we still have Una. Are you still there, Una? No, I am the host, so she fell out. Okay. I'm sure she will be back in a minute. What else is there to say? The whole of human design, like Ra has received so much, so very condensed information that is all about the mechanics and about the system. And for some people, it is fascinating for me, for example, to immerse themselves in this. And there is a lot of things to see and to have aha moments, like, aha, this is how it works. But it always comes back, and he always brings it back, that you do not need to go deeper, understand more, study anything more than your type, and especially your strategy and authority. Because in the end, our lives are a stream of decisions. That is what a life is made out of. All the decisions that we take on a daily basis. And so following your strategy and your authority brings you back to your authentic and unique self. And I think what we have seen now by covering, I think it was about 6 different inner authorities, is that we are unique in how we take decisions. There is no one size fits all approach. So anything that wants to sell you anything else, in my experience, is less deep than what I have discovered with human design, just because it takes such a personalized and such a unique approach to individuality, because that's according to human design what we all are. We are completely unique. Like we go kind of down. The further we go on, the deeper we will get. And now we start into defined, undefined. That's like a dual or energy type, non-energy type, or then the 4 types. But then now we already covered 6 authorities, and there is more, and there is 12 profiles. And you can go deeper and deeper and deeper into differentiation about how the uniqueness of who you are works on a mechanical level. You don't necessarily need that to live your life. Again, it's just helpful to know your strategy and authority, but it can be very interesting. And if we go, Una's back, very good. And if we go to the deepest level of human design, there is more combinations possible than there are humans on Earth. And what that leads to is like that is not a level that we can, and I don't think it makes sense to really go there, but it shows that every single one of us is completely unique in how they work. And seeing that through human design really opens the door to seeing that comparisons and judgment doesn't make any sense. How do you compare something that is unique to something else that is unique to something else that is unique? Because there is no common ground. And I think that is a fabulous world, living in a world where everyone is unique and living out their unique potential. So that is basically what the premise of human design is, and why it was so important for Ra to bring the knowledge out, seeing how homogenized we are, seeing how school tries to fit us all in the same box, but then knowing that that's not the truth. That is the homogenized world, not who we really are, even on a mechanical level. I see you're back, Una.
Yes, yes. Sorry about that. That connection. Who knows what happens? No idea why. Yeah, I guess we can just check in with everybody, see if there's any questions left, anything to say. Me personally, I'm really looking forward to the time when we have all the bases covered, so that we can talk about that change in 2027. It's yeah, this inner authority, being sovereign, is where we're going, and then I'm looking forward to explaining what's going to happen and why everything is crashing. That comes from the past. Yeah. Any questions? Any mentions? Even Jana doesn't have any more questions. Okay. Yeah, and definitely always ask on Telegram, and they'll get answered there immediately or later, or then when we have our next Zoom. So thank you everybody for being here, and to you, especially Michelle, that time at night. Wow. Yeah. And it's just great to have this spread across the world, and it's really this knowledge. Ra calls it the knowledge. It's so helpful, so important to get along with each other. It's made a huge difference in my life. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you all for being here, and hope to see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, namaste, everybody.